All right, we are live and we are getting set for the Pros Racing League on the Pros Racing Network tonight. The first race in the Beer Money Series. This is a free-to-enter series in the Mrs. Dogside Super Truck Pro Series. Also, BART Competition Karting putting us on the air tonight. But a free-to-enter series tonight where these drivers are going to be racing it out. The winner is going to walk away with $30, 20 to second place, 15 to third, 10 to fourth, and 5 to fifth as well. We have a couple of bonus money to give away, but lights are already off in the pace car. We're going to get set to go green flag racing. Kevin Schofield is pole position. Alongside him is Josh Rhodes, and we get set to go green flag racing. The pace car is down to pit road, and we get set for the field to take the green flag out of the tri-oval here. Now green flag flies, and we're racing for 87 laps at the Talladega Super Speedway. It is the Spy Chevrolet taking the green flag of Kevin Schofield. Down on the bottom, 27 trucks in the field as we get set going. Already a little bit of bump drafting up top. The 38 of Josh Rhodes has helped the 27 of Gary Bauer there for a moment. Bauer backs off a little bit at a corner number 2. And now we see the 74 machine of Doug Moore pushing the 51 of Kevin Schofield. That is up for the lead here down the back straightaway. Again, 87 laps, a long way to go before we do reach the conclusion of tonight's race. But again, pros, and if you're looking to do these races every other week, qualifying races occurring on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. All these drivers qualified in through those. And obviously the main events always on the Pros Racing Network Thursday nights. And obviously this week is Talladega. I do believe in 2 weeks' time it's going to be the Silver Crowns at Michigan. So it's free to enter, so if anybody else is interested, pros-league.com, or hop in the Pros Racing TeamSpeak. That can be found on the website as well. And you can easily hop in and be part of the action here. So side by side up front, 2 tandems starting to pull away from the field, and that is going to be Kevin Schofield with help from Doug Moore and Michael Cozy Jr. working with his teammate Spencer Preet. Those 2 machines up on the high side, the Velocity Motorsports Chevrolets, trying to work that top lane. They're side by side up at the front of the field, and now the bottom lane gets an advantage through a corner number 4 and down the front straight again. Only working lap number 2. My name Evan Pasoko up here in the booth tonight, and it is a long way to go. 87 laps at the 2.66 mile Talladega Super Speedway. Some track facts here as we work under green flag conditions. It was still the 51 of Kevin Schofield in the number 1 spot that last time by the start-finish line. But a little bit of statistics here on the weather. It is overcast skies at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, no wind, and no relative humidity. So nice, calm, and cool conditions, which is a major factor when you're driving these trucks, because obviously the drafting is going to overheat these machines. So the fact that there is overcast skies, not a lot of humidity, obviously things are going to be a lot cooler. 4 trucks did not start from the grid. They started from pit road. That will include George Barton, Jeremy Crandall, Brian Cross, and Ralph Shipman. Those trucks are at sit right now, positions 24th through positions number 27, as the top 4 have tried to pull away. They had about a 6/10 of a second buffer, and this time Bryant gets cut down to only 2. You see the 88 Michael Cozy Jr. having to switch with the 57. A little bit of miscommunication there as Preet went up to the middle lane. Cozy right back down to the apron. So those 2 machines having to swap already, and for those that are not familiar with that, you got to swap because when you get tucked up behind that truck in front of you, yes, it is the fastest way around this racetrack, but there's no cool air getting to that engine, so the engine is going to get very hot, and obviously you're going to need to step out to cool it down. So those 2 trucks making a switch. The top 2 on the racetrack have not done so yet, so the 74 of Doug Moore, you see he keeps sticking his nose out to the inside down the straightaway, and now through the tri-oval here as we get set to complete lap number 4. That way he can still keep a little bit of a push on that machine, but his engine stays cool. They have to be careful because another set of 2 trucks have shown up. Josh Rhodes, the 38 machine, sitting in position number 5 right now, and Mike Wheeler is working with him. So the 38 and the 231 trucks have now made it a 6-truck pack up at the front of the field. Again, still very early on, these guys running a 50% fuel cell, so obviously they're going to only be able to make it minimum laps on this fuel cell here, so a lot of pit stops going to be coming in tonight's race. These guys had 2 hours to warm up while we work again under green flag conditions. Talk about some of the highest finishers in the warm-up session. Fastest in warm-up was Kevin Schofield. Him and Jay Anderson hooked up, and they were able to put down a 50.555. So that's the fastest lap that we have seen all night long. Jay Anderson currently rides 8th place on the racetrack as a little bit of a checkup back in the pack with the 24 truck. We're hearing of Edward Smith, who rides in the number 9 spot, and this lead draft, they started to pull away. They were able to draft up a little bit of a gap, but since then, that has dropped back down, and now we have 10 trucks that are within 7/10 of each other, and more going to be coming as the field tries to begin to close back in on the rest of these drivers. A couple of trucks straggling off pace a little bit and in dangerous risk of losing the pack. Trevin Valderrama, the number 2 Chevrolet, in 20th position. John Ward is catching up to him. Those cars 20th and 21st. If they're able to draft, they may be able to push up to the pack, but they have lost some significant time, over 3 seconds back. Carl Burke is also very far back. The 28 truck is strung out with no help. And in the 4 trucks from there on back, obviously starting from pit road, and that has to be a mindset, a strategy that you're going to think that there is going to be some trouble with all of these race trucks out there on track at the start of the race, trying to hang back and avoid what could be a big one. Is the strategy that would be behind the idea that would be behind starting from the pit lane. Still dominant up front, Kevin Schofield continues to lead. It's the 74 machine behind him, Doug Moore, as the 88 and the 57 of Michael Cozy Jr. and Spencer Creek continue to try to work the outside lane. And through the tri-oval, coming to complete lap number 7. So still a heated battle up front, but again, the gap that those leaders had worked on has since fallen off. And obviously they're going to have to do a little bit of pack racing. Not the most comfortable thing to be doing, but obviously if you're going to be entering races at a super speedway, these trucks are very racy, but they're also a lot more aero sensitive, and iRacing obviously continues to come out with new builds at the end of every quarter of the year. And after Season 2, coming into Season 3 just a couple weeks ago, we had a new build mainly on tires, but I have noticed a little bit of drafting changes. These trucks, it's a lot easier to lose the draft. If you're in a big pack, and it's almost the polar opposite as the highway. If you're up on the right-hand side, the top, that's going to be the passing lane. If you're on the left-hand side, the far left on the bottom, that's where you ride around. You take a look at a guy like the 38 of Josh Rhodes right now, position number 5. Can't really do much. These guys working around the lap machine of the 22 of Ralph Shipman. But if you're that 38 of Josh Rhodes, you have nowhere to go. You can't step outside. There's trucks on your high side. You can't go through the guys in front of you. You're stuck riding. If you're going to step out and try to make a move, it's going to be on the outside lane. Typically, you're not always pushing on the inside. That's why we've been able to see Doug Moore continue to stay behind Kevin Schofield. Meanwhile, Cozy and Creek continue to have to pull that swap up on the outside lane because they are pushing nearly the entire time, and that engine of the car in the back that is doing the pushing gets hot. So you have to be content to ride in. This does take a lot of patience. But as we made this a big pack up front, it is kind of now once again dispersed to a 6-truck lead battle. Kevin Schofield, Doug Moore, the number 1 tandem right now. Outside is still the 57 and the 88 of Preet and Cozy, and then obviously the 38 machine of Josh Rhodes and the 231 of Mike Wheeler. Top 6 again have began to pull away at the moment as they run right now. 26 trucks continue to remain on the lead lap. Brian Cross is the last machine on the lead lap as he rides around through the tri-oval as race leader Kevin Schofield rounds turn number 4. So Cross doesn't have a lot of time until he would evidently lose his lap, which would knock Ralph Shipman, the only truck that is not on the lead lap, out of the Lucky Dog position. The Lucky Dog spot obviously being given to if a caution flag were to fly, the first truck that is not on the lead lap, first truck 1 lap down, would be waved back around the pace car. They would get their lap back. So right now, that is held by Ralph Shipman. No incidents yet. Again, we have seen the field spread out rather significantly. We've had a couple of checkups, but no major incidents. And with all of those trucks cycling through the first few corners, bumper to bumper, everybody doing a solid job to hang on to it. But again, all these guys, it's not their first time on track. They not only, a big wiggle by the 38 of Rhodes, 231 as well. And it's an 8-truck party because Gary Bauer has brought up into this battle as well. He brought Jay Anderson with him, and now Travis Brown and Houston Hammer, the 33 and the 77, are coming back up into it. So it's just as our leaders start to pull away once again, they're not pushing all the way around. It's a lot faster if it's just 2 trucks than 6 of them, because all 6 of them are not going to be bumper to bumper pushing. So a lot of these 2 sets of tandems are able to catch back up. And now trouble, the 38 of Josh Rhodes gets a little hot. He gets turned around in front of the pack, hard into the outside wall. The 77, the 27 around caution is going to fly. Looks like everybody else is able to get around. The 231 of Mike Wheeler in it as well. Caution flag is going to fly. And early here on lap number 12, it looks like the 38 of Josh Rhodes in the corner there got a little bit loose, got shoved up, and when he tried to come back down, the drafting partner, the 231, was unable to get out of the way. And then the 77 of Houston Hammer getting turned around on the outside lane after making contact. Gary Bauer slid up into him, so Gary Bauer, 77, get together, and the 231 of Mike Wheeler obviously had the 38 cut down on him, almost had it saved, and spun, went head on into the inside retaining wall. And we will go to a caution flag period. Here on lap number 13, Kevin Schofield letting the field know that the pace car is going to be down into turn number 3. And the field is going to slow them down, group back up, get set for possibly some green flag pit stops. And from there on, as a couple of drivers discussing not only strategy, but asking one another if they see any damage on each other's trucks. A couple trucks in pit road already. Pit road closed when these guys entering. That's going to be Verlis Falcons, George Bart, Jeremy Crandall, Mike Wheeler amongst those drivers that came down. So they'll obviously receive an EOL penalty. If that, they'll be sent to the end of the longest line for the ensuing restart. However, they started at the back of the pack, so that would be in coordination with the strategy that they have been running. Down pit road, Kevin Schofield going to lead in, followed by Moore, Preet, Cozy, Brown, Anderson, Smith, and the rest of our leaders. Looks like all the leaders coming down pit road for service at 55 miles an hour pace speed. And Schofield going to enter his stall. He does have the best advantage out of anybody because he does qualify on pole, so he will have that last stall in pit road. And obviously going to get the best run off. Looks like it is going to be a very short stop. Fuel only for Kevin Schofield. Fuel only for the top 3. As we continue to work under the caution flag period. Wave around going to go to Ralph Shipman. And all 27 trucks at the moment going to return to the lead lap. You're watching the Pros Racing Network and the Beer Money Series live on Thursday nights. I'm going to take a moment, step away from the microphone. We'll bring you back for this following restart as we pace on lap number 14. Again, back live here at the Talladega Super Speedway. You're tuning into the Pros Racing Network. My name is Evan Pasoko. Tonight, the Thursday Night Beer Money Series, a free-to-enter series where there's about an $87 purse that will be disputed amongst the drivers every other Thursday night. And going to talk about some of the upcoming races. If you yourself want to hop in, again, it's free to enter. You just have to come in on the qualifying nights. Every Thursday night, actually, is going to be a feature race. Obviously tonight, the DEGAHEAD 200 from the Talladega Super Speedway in the trucks. Next time we go racing, September the 4th, going to be at Michigan International Speedway. That's the topless 200, and that's going to be obviously in those Silver Crown machines. Very, very fun to drive. Then we're going to go to Daytona for the Night of Thunder 200. That's going to be on September 11th. That is in the old COTs, and I do believe that is going to be on the old Daytona circuit before the repave, so it's going to be a very bumpy one in that one. Then we'll head to Charlotte on the 18th for the Southern 200. That's going to be in the Cadillac CTSVs, a very interesting track and a car combination. And September 25th, back at Daytona for the Summer Sizzler 200, back in the trucks. We then head to USA International Speedway, the Lakeland 75 in the street stocks. That will be October 2nd. October 9th, back to Talladega, obviously is part 1 if you're watching live on stream. Part 2 of the DEGAHEAD 200 going to be October the 9th. In the Gen 6 cars. Iowa, the super late models, the Super 88, October the 18th, and then DEGAHEAD Part 3, Talladega once again on the 23rd, and close it off, a car that is to be determined. It's a surprise, the All-Star race, November 27th, a week, or actually a month, excuse me, after the next to last race at Talladega. $100 to the person that ends that one in Victory Lane. That one, November 27th, the car is to be determined. But obviously the track is going to be the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Didn't get a chance to run you through the grid when we went live, so going to give you a full field rundown right now, presented by Bart Competition Karting. Kevin Schofield on the pole position right now, number 1 spot. Doug Moore sits second. Spencer Preet in third. Michael Cozy Jr. in the number 4 position. Travis Brown in 5th. Jay Anderson 6th. Martin Packer, 13 machine, in 7th spot. Edward Smith, the 3rd. In the number 24 machine is 8th, and Edward Smith 3. He is the 3rd Edward Smith on iRace, and obviously for those who are familiar with that, Rodney Smith is 9th. Cecil Reen, the 64, is in 10th. Danny Ryu sits 11th. Gary Power, 12th. John Ward, 13th. David Williams, 14th. Houston Hammer in 15th. Trevin Valderrama in 16th position. Carl Berg, 17th. Josh Rhodes, 18th. Brian Cross, 19th. Verlis Falcons, 20th. Matt Clifton, 21st. Michael Johnson, 22nd. Mike Wheeler, 23rd. George Bart, 24th. Andrew Heigl, 25th. Jeremy Crandall, 26th. And hearing some trouble on pit road. A big incident on pit road. Looks like the 22 truck. Some big issues here. And the caution is going to be delayed. The 22 of Ralph Shipman had some sort of issue, but just accelerated through the field, and he's going to end up essentially wrecking these machines under the caution flag period. Looks like he dumps the 38 machine is involved. That's Josh Rhodes. The 2 of Trevin Valderrama with damage. Another machine with damage. Looks like Verlis Falcons gets damage as well. So Ralph Shipman has caused some sort of incident down the back straightaway, and has since manually disconnected from the sim. So not sure what happened there, but Ralph Shipman took out about 4 trucks there under the caution flag period. Again, Trevin Valderrama, Verlis Falcons, and Josh Rhodes are going to be caught up in that incident. So those machines going to get damaged down the back straightaway. So again, still not sure what happened there, but those trucks going to have to come down for service. So Falcons, Valderrama, and Rhodes going to drop to the tail end of the lead lap after several of those guys running just outside of the top 10. So that obviously being a tough break for those drivers. And we have once again delayed the green flag period. So even though we still paced down the back straight with the lights on the pace car, we have delayed it once again. So lights back on at least about 4 more miles, 1.5 more circuits until we'll go back green flag racing, obviously because of these delays caused by some sort of what would appear to be a mechanical issue on the 22 machine of Ralph Shipman, who just gradually accelerated and hit the back of those trucks, going about 92, 93 miles an hour under caution, manually disconnected. So because of that, 25 trucks remain on the lead lap. Jeremy Crandall, Ralph Shipman off the lead lap, and actually Jeremy Crandall going to take a wave around right now. So once again, Ralph Shipman will be the only car not on the lead lap, only truck, I should say, in position number 27. And again, that's obviously because he has disconnected from the sim. He is retired. So all trucks that are still running do appear to be on the lead lap. But again, a very strange incident there. We're going to try to see if we can get any sort of word. We're on the radio with the two of Trevin Valderrama. Trevin, looks like you got some damage on the backstretch. What happened?
Well, the lap car was trying to get his lap back, I guess, and they're saying that his throttle's stuck. So we went into the pits, used our one fix, so hopefully we don't get into another caution.
Not only that, but you're going to be put to the tail end of this lead group of cars. How's that going to affect your race?
Well, we still got a lot of green flag laps to run, so I really just wanted to ride back here for the first few laps to see what we can do, and then see what we can get with, and then maybe make a charge to the front with about 30 to go.
So you hear there, just went and talked to the driver of the number 2 machine, Trevin Valderrama. Obviously had to come down. And when they say quick fix, for those not familiar with the iRacing sim, you do have one quick fix available in this series. That means you can come down pit road, and one time, it is not going to make you wait there for the crew to get that machine fixed. It will just give you a brand new race car. Quick fixes set to 1. So those drivers that were caught up in the incident at no fault of their own have now lost their mulligan. So if they get caught up in an incident, their night could essentially be done. They'll obviously be able to come down for repairs, but you'll never get a machine back to 100%, especially how important that is here at Talladega, knowing that obviously aero is a very key portion of this. You have to win it working that draft, so you need a very aerodynamically stable race car below you. That's something to keep an eye on to see if that really does bite these drivers later on. There is still a lot of green flag racing to go. We're going to go back green flag racing, and it's going to be 69 laps to go. And so we'll be taking lap number 19 of 87 at a corner number 4. We get set to get back rolling here. The field having some trouble grouping up towards the tail end. Looks like the first few rows are side by side, so we're set as the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car dives down to the safety of pit road right there. We get set once again to go back green flag racing. All trucks that are in the race on the lead lap. It's going to be a 26 truck restart. Can those trucks that fell back early, are they going to get into the mix now, or is it too early still? Green flag flies. The 51 of Schofield on the gas pedal. Green flag flies, and somebody that was caught sleeping, the 74 of Doug Moore. 51, that looks like it was actually by plan. 54 hangs back as him and the 51 of Schofield were working together. 51 slides up, and now they are pushing on the top lane. Looks like they're going to get clear of the 57 of Spencer Preet on the bottom. Yes, they do at a corner number 2. Oh, sliding up in front now, the 57 of Spencer Preet. He wants to get with his partner. That's the 88 of Cozy. Over the 13 of Martin Backer, my apologies there. The Logitech Chevrolet. Obviously not currently having a partner in that mix. Looks like he may work with the 96 of Rodney Smith, but he nearly followed that 57 right up into the door of the 88 Pennzoil Chevrolet. So a close call in that regards, but back to green flag racing we go. Already the field has almost been divided into 2 packs. Lead draft is left off by Matt Clifton, and the leader of the secondary pack was just the number 2 of Valderrama. It's now going to go to Gary Bauer. Bauer and David Williams wasting no time as they are going to push their way through and want to get caught back up. Only 2 seconds back, but that is a significant amount of time for such a short period of time in order to lose those amount of laps. So they're going to have to obviously work their way back up through this and get back to that lead draft if they want any sort of relative shot at going to victory lane here tonight. Still a long way to go, still multiple trips to pit road before we get set for the final home stretch. We have not seen the green flag pit stops, obviously with that caution flying on lap 12. Green flag pit stops here, very interesting in the fact that you need a partner. You cannot come down by yourself. You need to have somebody come down with you. Not only that, but you need to take nearly identical times in order to make that pit stop successfully. You can't have somebody come out of pit road and have to drag the brakes, as otherwise that's obviously going to kill your momentum. Don't expect to take tires. I mean, we saw fuel only. Maybe you'll see a 2 or 4 tire stop under a yellow flag later on in this race. Maybe 2 if you got to get it full of fuel, because that's about the amount of time it takes to get a whole fuel can in these Chevrolets. But don't expect any 4 tires under the green flag condition. Now, again, all this is speculation, assuming that we would see a green flag pit stop, and obviously just fresh off a delayed and a rather elongated yellow flag period due to the incident down the back straightaway. As we approach the half-hour mark since the green flag has dropped, and again, still approaching quarter distance in tonight's races, continuing to work green. Again, you're watching the Pros Racing Network. Check out some of the archive races on the YouTube channel. If you're watching live, or if you're going to be watching this on replay, again, check the Pros Racing Network out, and the Pros Racing League Professional Racing Online Series. That is pros-league.com. All the information for this series is going to be under the Beer Money Series. This is the free to enter series. They also have the Pro Money Series. $15 to enter and a higher payout structure. More money to the rest of the drivers. Jay Anderson with trouble and a big wreck down that back straightaway at a corner number 2. Got loose and trouble below him. Out of nowhere, the 64 just gets shot out of line. A very strange incident. 64 up hard into the fence in front of the pack. And obviously multiple cars involved. As Cecil Rainey gets into it, the 23's in it, the 19. All the other trucks have to go to the apron to take evasive action. And we are evidently back under the caution flag period. As again, race leader Kevin Schofield going to catch up to them under caution flag. And hearing a little bit of issues between a couple drivers here under caution flag period. Obviously a little bit of drivers heated. Josh Rhodes, his night is going to come to an end. The 38 is going to bring it to the garage after looks like he disconnected. He just blinked out in the middle of 3 and 4 there on the racetrack and has since manually disconnected. So Josh Rhodes out of the race. His night is going to come to an end here prematurely. Now once again going to take another swing at the pit stops. Kevin Schofield going to lead him down pit road once again. 55 miles an hour is pit road speed. Last time all the leaders cycled through under the caution flag period, fuel only. Do we see anybody roll the dice for tires? We'll see. 51 pulls into the number 1 stall down at the end of pit road. Fuel can in the left-hand side. Does not look like the team's going to put any jacks up underneath the machine. Fuel and gone. Well, the 57 of Spencer Preet makes a spirited effort to try to get to that position. However, it is the 51 of Kevin Schofield having the number 1 stall on pit road, which will give him the number 1 spot. So due dividends being shown right there on how important it is to get that number 1 spot on pit road, because if Schofield was about 3 stalls down from the end of pit road, then this race would be in the control of the 57 of Spencer Preet. So once again, back under the caution flag period. The quarter distance mark in tonight's DEGAHEAD 200 has come and passed, and we get set to get back green flag racing as we work our second caution of the race. Once again, going to step away, take a quick commercial break. You're watching the Pros Racing Network, and a step away from the microphone and more from Dega. We'll be back to bring you to the green flag. Caution flag period remains out at the Talladega Super Speedway for the Pros Racing Network live on Thursday nights for the first race on the Beer Money Series. Free to enter, and over $80 going to be paid back to the drivers at the end of the night as we get set for our third start of the race, second off of a caution flag period. Pace car down to pit road once again. It is going to be the 51 of Kevin Schofield up in the number one position. A couple of drivers debating who needs to be where in line back in the pack, but nonetheless, at the start-finish line, green flag is going to fly. We're racing out of the tri-oval to take lap number 27. 61 to go. That time by the stripe, the 51 machine, looking for his partner. It's going to be Doug Moore, who's actually sitting right behind him after starting in third. So Moore and Schofield going to get to work together. The 57 and the 88 of Breeden Cozy, Spencer Preet, Michael Cozy Jr. on the outside lane, trying to get something going. They were able to get hooked up just a little bit sooner, but up on the high side, by the time they were able to get a run down that back straightaway, we are bumper to bumper, at least 5 trucks deep, down on the inside lane. And oh, a big scatter there in the middle of the corner. Somebody had to check up somewhere, and everybody scatters. That got real close there for a moment. Looked like it was the 53 that may have pushed up a little bit, Matt Clifton, and may have got close to the 92 of John Ward, but we stay green. And now all by themselves out front for the moment, Kevin Schofield and Doug Moore, 1 and 2. Martin Backer in the number 13 machine down on the inside, trying to make his charge in front. He has the 78 of Brian Cross with him. If you remember, early on in the race, Brian Cross was about to lose a lap, and now he sits running top 5. Matt Clifton, very aggressive on his back bumper. That got things a little close down into 3, but everybody hangs on. However, it does back Cross off of the back bumper to the 53 of Backer, so they're going to lose a little bit of speed. A tandem coming up through the pack, the 33 of Travis Brown, the 77 of Houston Hamer, trying to make up some ground and get up through this pack as 19 trucks remain on the lead lap. Last truck on the lead lap is Michael Johnson, the 004 machine. He is working with the 7 of Trevin Valderrama. Those cars trying to get around the lap machine, and the 19 of David Williams. Williams kind of forced them high a little bit, and is almost slowing them down as a lap machine. So those guys having some issues. We're 3 wide for position or out position number 10. As the 28 machine is in the middle, gonna back out of it is Carl Burke. A big wiggle to 77 of Houston Hamer, trying very hard to get Travis Brown up to the front of the field as they again have to work the outside. The outside is the passing lane around this racetrack as Kevin Schofield has been dominant all race long. After starting on pole, he was fastest in practice, and these guys are running solid laps. 74 at Doug Moore, he's laying it back, but he's not pushing them. 74 is still there, and just to put that into perspective, the last time by, they were a whole second slower than Schofield's fastest lap in practice. So the 51's gotten speed. He's taking it real conservative as they run right now. 57 Spencer Preet, 88 Michael Cozy Jr. once again back to the outside lane, trying to make another move. The 53 of Matt Clifton, the 5th wheel in that battle, the odd one out because he does not have any help, and anybody that's coming up behind him is already in a 2-truck tandem. So we'll have to see. Here we go, a great run. The 96 of Rodney Smith, the 13 of Martin Backer close in. Will the 96 of Smith lead Backer for Clifton? It looks like he will, as he is pulling up to the back bumper of the 53 Chevrolet of Matt Clifton. Meanwhile, here come the 33 of Travis Brown and the 77 of Houston Hamer on the outside lane after being outside of the top 15 laps ago. They have already found their way back up to the front of that pack. And now trouble, Gary Bauer out of it right now. He's not on the racetrack anymore. Had some sort of connection issues. Gary Bauer disconnecting from the sim, and he's gonna fall victim to some sort of connection issue. It appears, it does say he manually disconnected, but he did blink out. in the middle of the racetrack. So about 5 trucks have suffered that similar fate so far. And they are obviously out of the race. That slims down the field to 18 trucks on the lead lap as they run right now. But the majority of the trucks are in this lead trap. George Bart and the 73 of Jeremy Crandall, wicked fast. Those 2 trucks with the setup that they have under the hoods there, if they want to get up front, they can get the job done. They started from pit road. They took EOLs at the start. Now that we're starting to close in on the halfway point, they have decided that it is go time. They're starting to close in. The 57, Spencer Preet's going to pull the swap. He gets in behind the 88 Michael Gozzi Jr. And now they will both slide down. As there was a little bit of concern there with the 13 of Martin Backer, slid up the hill a little bit when there was a 2-wide battle. Backer apologizing over the radio, and no harm, no foul. Schofield continues to lead. Moore, Clifton, Smith, and Backer, the first 5 on the inside lane. Again, it is still Gozzi and Preet who are trying to do something on the outside of the racetrack. They've been able to get up maybe their nose into a number 2 position, but have not been able to get enough of a run to get clear of Kevin Schofield. And that has to do largely in part with the great race at the 74 of Doug Moore is riding. Again, we keep seeing the 88 to 57 switch. You guys notice that Doug Moore has been pushing Kevin Schofield nearly this entire race, and they have not needed to swap. That 74 has the draft locked down. Pat, he gets sticking that nose out to the left side, getting air to it, gets right back on, and pushes. Now you see a huge run. It is Gozzi up to second at the stripe. They get nose-to-nose for the lead. Oh, the 53 Matt Clifton way high, nearly gets into Jeremy Crandall as him and George Bart from the back of the pack want to make this a 6-truck race for the lead and meet a 3rd tandem up at the front of the field. Do they force it 3 wide? Right now, they pull in behind Preet and Gozzi on the outside lane. And it is going to be a 3-wide move to 33 of Travis Brown to the outside with help from, again, the 7 of Houston Hamer. Those 2 machines trying to get up front, and that makes it what appears to be 4. Actually, it's going to be 3 Bart Competition Karting Chevrolets, the 73, the 42, the 33, all tightly packed right now, running in top 10 positions on the racetrack. 2 wide still up front. Again, we said that Gozzi and crew, being Spencer Preet, they've been able to get up there to second. The 88 was position number 2 at the start-finish line, but they can't get more because when you're on the outside lane, you're going up that hill to get into the corner. You're losing your momentum. Not only that, but it is the longer way around the racetrack. When you're on the bottom, it's more of a feeling of diving down onto that bottom lane, almost like you get a run down into the corner. So the inside lane has momentum on entry. The outside, however, does have some momentum on exit because you're coming down that big hill. You need to make sure you're hooked up so you can use that speed all the way down the stretch. What's hurting this 57 and the 57 Spencer Preet, sorry, and the 88 Michael Gozzi Jr. is they need to continue to swap. They pulled another switch there, and they're going to drop all the way back. Scoring get a cycle through right here by the start-finish line. Gozzi's going to go from 2nd to 8th. Spencer Preet now the lead car in that battle, or that draft rather, as Pete Preet sits position 7. But nobody else has had to make swaps yet. Here comes George Bart and the 73 of Jeremy Crandall. The outside lane is clear. Those trucks bad fast to the outside lane, and they are straight flying down the backstretch, now down into 3. Season 51 and Kevin Schofield going to pull even door-to-door with Crandall at a corner number 4, but George Bart on the back end, not sure if anybody can be a stronger pusher in these Silverados. And now the 73 at Crandall is going to get clear out of the tri-oval. George Bart is not clear yet, so they're not going to be able to drop down out of line just quite yet. A little bit of a battle going on for P13. The 231 of Mike Wheeler with company. The 19, a lap machine of David Williams, battling against Trevin Valderrama and Michael Johnson back for position number 13. But Again, still up front, Jeremy Crandall has about half a truck to a truck length on the inside lane. He has not gotten enough of a run to bring George Bark with him. He needs George Bark. Those two, when they start pushing, again, a very dominant duo. So they're going to need to get clear of the bottom, I don't expect. And you may see it later on in the race, but typically you're not going to see it here. Oh, look at an aggressive move. Matt Clifton down to the yellow line. He's on the inside. He's going to break up the draft of Doug Moore and Kevin Schofield. Schofield, a veteran move. He sees that. He's going to slide up to the dashed white line, and they're going to squeeze the 51 of Matt Clifton down. Clifton went there by himself. An aggressive move out of the tri-oval where a fourth lane appears and then disappears. He got his nose there. His partner, the 96 of Rodney Smith, did not. Race leaders make it a very smart decision to not freak out. They slid up, gave them enough room, stayed hooked up, and have since back returned to positions number 1 and positions 2 as they run right now. Now a little bit of momentum. The 53 of Clifton with a run, again, company the 96 of Rodney Smith. It's been a story of about 4 two-truck tandems, and 5 if you include Travis Brown and Houston Hamer, who have slid off just a little bit. But it is Clifton leading at the stripe with the same challenges that Crandall and Bark faced, as they cannot get clear of Schofield and Doug Moore on the bottom. Let's see if they can do anything at the corner number 2. We're currently working lap number 39, and the outside lane can't really get locked. I can't get those bumpers locked at a corner number 2, so they're not going to get the push that would potentially be available. So they'll have to wait just another moment. They'll be door-to-door for front row and that second row, so that would be positions 1 and positions 3. And then obviously you see right here sliding back in 3 and 4. The inside is just so strong. You really got to be going on the outside lane if you want to get clear and complete that pass. It is not an easy thing to do. And so we approach the halfway mark, just about 4 laps short of that. Still under green flag conditions. I'm going to step away from the microphone for just a moment, and we'll be back with you shortly. Still going to be on air here, but stepping away from the microphone for a moment. You're watching the DEGAHEAD 200 Part 1 on the Pros Racing Network. Back live as green flag pit stops going to start to cycle through. We hear Edward Smith is calling his Chevrolet down to pit road from P7. He's going to come in with the 64 of Cecil Reen, the 231 of Mike Wheeler, the 19 machine coming in as well. That is David Williams. Those are the first 4 trucks. They're going to get these green flag stops underway here at Talladega, just short of the halfway point. We pitted on lap 15 under caution, and then we've had 1 caution since then, so you could equivalent lap 15, and then they cycled through obviously on the second pit stop. So these guys have, again, limited fuel cell. They're not going to be able to go X amount of laps that you would expect because they have half the fuel. Here come the leaders. Kevin Schofield coming down with Spencer Preet, Doug Moore, and Michael Cozy. 3 wide down in the pit road. Do they all get them mowed down in time? Yes, they do, but they are 3 wide. How are they going to negotiate this one? The 57 of Spencer Preet in the middle, and he's going to have to, right there, he's got to duck in behind the 14 because he's going to have to enter his stall before that 14 machine, rather the 74, my apologies, Doug Moore, has to go in. And looks like Doug Moore, he overshoots his stall. The 74 Chevrolet of Doug Moore gets in a little bit too hot. And now he gets his gas and he goes. But the 88 and the 57 both gonna beat him off of pit road. And that could be bad news for Kevin Schofield, because if he wants to get back with his partner that he's worked so good with all night long, it's going to take him a couple of laps here, I would imagine, to get together. And that, again, is a big no-no when it comes to green flag racing, especially because we saw so many two-car tandems, two-truck tandems up front, that now you're going to see Spencer Preet, Michael Cozy Jr., can they take control of this race? Martin Backer in for the #1 spot, Michael Johnson in with him. Those two trucks still to complete their service. They're going to come down now, and we'll see where they cycle through in comparison to Schofield and others, as Johnson and Backer just now enter their stalls. There you go on the outside lane. Spencer Preet and Michael Cozy Jr. going to blow by Kevin Schofield, because Doug Moore has just now gotten to the back bumper of the Spy Equipment Chevrolet of Schofield. So meanwhile on pit road, Backer and Johnson, no challenge. They're going to exit pit road much behind the race leaders. Obviously, you can see the 004 of Michael Johnson with the padracing.net on it, PADD Racing.net. People Against Distracted Driving, a very widespread cause. You see it on a lot of trucks, a lot of machines if you race on iRacing, so not a lot of people stranger to that, but feel free to check that organization out. So a very clean, a very crisp cycle of green flag pit stop that happened very quickly. They happened within about 2-3 laps of each other. No more, no less, no shenanigans, no people staying out on different fuel strategy, because everybody came into pit under the caution periods. So we are back to good. One truck that is left out by himself, the 2 of Trevin Valderrama. Looks like he came down for service. Gonna try to check the tape here. He was running top 15. Oh, he actually got turned into the trial with the 2 of Trevin Valderrama. Did he get turned, or did he try to come down pit road? It looked like Trevin Valderrama tried to come down pit road and just grossly overshot the entrance on lap 40. Was in the grass, had to drive around, then came down pit road. Now he finds himself all out alone in 15th and 36 seconds off. And it's going to get up to 39 seconds back as Valderrama, so he still hangs on to his lead lap. But obviously, if this thing goes green from here on out, big problems in that situation for the #2 camp. Kevin Schofield back to the point, a very strong machine. Him and Doug Moore, one of the dominant duos so far. Lap machine comes down to the middle lane. That looks like the 92 of John Ward. He'll go lap down, which leaves Trevin Valderrama, the 15th place truck, the last truck on the lead lap. Never count out George Bark and Jeremy Crandall. Those machines, very solid, but somehow, some way, they've ended up 6 seconds back as those stocks have cycled through. So they're significantly far out of it. I don't think they'll be able to make up those 6 seconds by themselves in the limited amount of time that you may have till the next time you got to come down for service. Maybe just more important to nail that stop. But again, how about Schofield and Moore? I mean, we saw Spencer Preet, Michael Cozy Jr. They got hooked back up before Moore and Schofield were. Obviously, Doug Moore having issues on a pit lane entrance and getting into his stall, overshot it a little bit. And the 57-88 went to the point for a moment. And I think that green flag cycle is the only laps that we have seen, or we have not seen the 51 in the #1 spot. Give him about 2 laps. Kevin Schofield has returned to the #1 position. And Doug Moore is back to second. Now again, the 57-88 trying to get it going up on the outside lane. Had to duck back in line to get a little bit more speed. It does not work out for them this time by. But top 4, I was going to say they had 7/10 to the good, but now Matt Clifton with a great push. His 53 machine is able to push up the 96 of Rodney Smith. Houston Hammer, Travis Brown, the next tandem, 7th and 8th are 2 seconds back. So the top 6 within 3/10 and are about 2.3 seconds to the good from the rest of the pack. Kevin Schofield coming over the radio, and in reference to the 97 of Spencer Creighton and the 88 of Michael Cozy Jr., who continue to try to step out of line to make moves, Schofield coming over the radio and letting them know that, hey, if you guys quit stepping on the line and just ride single file, we're going to run away and give ourselves a bit more of a buffer to 7th on back. So, there's that. It appears that the 57-88 have obliged to that. Rodney Smith, Matt Clifton also making up that top 6. So, in reality, it would be a good strategy. They did it that time by. It works. They've extended that gap to 3 seconds. And now it's going to be the 2 of Trevor Valderrama losing his lap. UPS Chevrolet, We Heart Logistics on the bumper of it is going to stay high. You can see the speed difference from the trucks that are in the draft in comparison to the number 2. 2 stays high again after being left, and could have probably jumped down in behind the leaders to try to draft off of him. However, staying high is Valderrama, so he loses any shot of jumping in with them. Good news for him is he'll be the last truck one lap down in lucky dog position, and there really isn't anybody else at immediate risk of losing their lead lap because Michael Johnson and Martin Backer, the last one to lead lap, only 16 seconds off. Or if you want to convert that, they're about 36, 38 seconds to the good as far as being that many seconds in front of the leaders and have that much of a gap until they reach the point that they would indeed lose their lap. So if we do see a caution, a 15-place machine, the 2 of Valderrama would be the lucky dog truck and would be able to get his lap back. The second pack is going to approach him here shortly, led by Houston Hamer, Travis Brown, Edward Smith, Jeremy Crandall as a third pack. So George Barr with some trouble. George Barr is off the racetrack. He appears to have dropped connection. Though not the first time he dropped connection before the start of the green flag. He disconnected right before we took the grid, was able to get back in, started from pit road, missed the start, had his teammates go down there with him. And now, George Bart disconnecting, receiving throughput, fell to unacceptable level in the middle of the race. He'll have to reconnect. We have seen other drivers lag out in tonight's race or disconnect, but the sim has said that they manually disconnected. But they obviously did disappear in the middle of the drive, and you can't leave your car unless it is stopped. So there's some sort of connection thing going on, whether it be with iRacing at the moment. Again, that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind about sim racing is instead of the mechanical gremlins that you got to worry about in real world racing, you have to worry about the internet, the connection, any sort of gremlins of that fashion could sneak up on you and end up not working in your favor. And obviously because of that, George Bark, after having a solid night, top 5 positions are the ones that pay out. You can pretty much see all hopes of that down the drain as he's dropped outside at the top 17 and is multiple laps down as they run right now. So again, Jeremy Crandall was working with him. Crandall is now working with John Ward. John Ward is a lap machine, but Crandall doesn't care. He's hopping a ride. He sits 11 seconds back in 10. So Crandall does mark the outside of the top 10, but our leaders discussed that if we get along and just ride in line, it's going to be the best for everybody. It is to this point. Because a 3-second gap has grown to 6.5 plus back to Hamer and Brown, which is the next set of trucks. And the way it should work is 2 trucks by themselves pushing are going to beat a bunch of guys that are riding in line lifting. However, these guys are doing very masterfully. It's not like we're in a big pack and they have multiple truck lengths separating them. They spread it a little bit, but they were just all bumper to bumper, doing a really solid job as they run right now, and they're not pushing to the point where their engines are going to get hot. They don't need a swap, so they save so much time. Almost a similar situation that we saw the 57 of Preet and the 88 of Cozy do earlier, as they were fast, but they had the switch that kept killing their momentum. That may be what's holding back Travis Brown and Houston Hamer as they are trying to push, and they are over 7.5 seconds out of it. This has become a 6-horse race at this point in the race. And not a lot of action up front because this is the portion that you ride. We are past the halfway point, past it just over 10 laps ago. So as we, again, ride pretty much single file, here under the green flag conditions, we are going to give you a full field rundown presented by Bart Competition Karting. So Kevin Schofield top in this top number one spot. That didn't make any sense. Kevin Schofield at the top of the board in the number one spot. Doug Moore sits second. Spencer Preet third. Cozy fourth. Rodney Smith fifth. Matt Clifton sixth. Those 6 trucks separated by 5/10. That is the lead draft. Then you have Travis Brown, Houston Hamer over 8 seconds out of it. 7th and 8th. 10 seconds back is Edward Smith in 9th. Jeremy Crandall, 10th, is 12 back. Mike Wheeler, 13 seconds back, is in 11th. Martin Backer, 20 seconds back, working with Michael Johnson, 12th and 13th places, respectively. Cecil Reed is now the first truck 1 lap down in the 14th spot. Trevin Valderrama also 1 back in 15th. John Ward 1 lap down in 16th. David Williams 2 down in 17th. George Bart 2 laps down in 18th. Brian Cross is out of tonight's race. He'll finish 19th. Carl Burke out of tonight's race will finish 20th. Gary Bauer walks home 21st. 22nd, Andrew Heigl. Danny Ryu, 23rd. Jay Anderson, 24th. Verlis Falcons, 25th. Josh Rhodes, 26th. And Ralph Shipman in 27th. So any trucks from 19th on back are out of the race. Those back 9 race trucks are back in the garage. They have disconnected from the sim. Their nights are done. And again, this is the free series to enter. Qualifier races Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a big show live on the Pros Racing Network, as always, every Thursday night. We went through the schedule earlier on in the broadcast. If you're just tuning in, that would be pros-league.com to see some of the upcoming races, which will include the likes of Michigan, Daytona, Charlotte, and more in a wide variety of race cars. Now, because it is free to enter, there is a limited payout. It is still $80+, but the top 5 are walking away with the cash payouts. 5th place obviously getting 5, 4th place with 10, 3rd with 15, 2nd with 20, and 1st place walking away with $30 in cash at the end of it all. So there is a battle not only for the win, but the number 5 spot could get pretty interesting as this race comes down to the checker. A little bit of bonus money. The pole sitter walks away with $1, so Kevin Schofield going to walk away with some extra money in his pocket. Most positions gained, going to get $1. George Bark and Crandall would be on place for that after starting from pit road. However, they have lost significant time after Bark disconnected. Bark sits 2 laps down. Most laps led, $1 bonus, which is most likely going to be locked up and guaranteed for Kevin Schofield, as he's been out front for more than half of the race. He will take that home. Another $1 for him, leading the halfway point, which would be lap number 44, 43, crossing over to 44. And that actually is going to be stolen by Michael Cozy Jr. That was the point where they were out front right after pit stop. So Cozy looks like he'll be able to sneak away with the halfway point $1 bonus, and the highest finisher with 0 incident points is also going to be able to walk away with another additional $1. You see the 42 up on the outside lane. That is the iconic 42 of George Bark with Bark Competition Karting on the side of it, sponsoring tonight's Thursday night series. A lot of people that make it happen here at Pros, the likes of obviously Bark Competition Karting, Bones Racing, Kim Doolin, Mrs. Dockside with the Super Truck Pro Series, Race Points Manager, and more to get us on here and get this series up and running. A big process. The 24 of Edward Smith announces a checkup. We have a little bit of a group that it's grown. It's a 5-car pack, 7th through 11th. I've actually all grouped up. There are 6 trucks there because one of those is a lap machine that has been working with the lead lapper, but there is now a secondary pack. However, since the leaders have determined to do their single file idea, they have pulled an excess of 10 seconds on the rest of the field. So obviously these leaders in total control at this point in the race. Schofield, Moore, Preet, Cozy, Smith, Clifton, still the top 6. No changes in that. Jeremy Crandall down pit road for service. 73 Bark Competition Karting Machine may hear a 4-tire stop coming. We'll see. The 73 is into the stall. No jack underneath his machine. It's going to be and trouble in the middle of the racetrack. The 2 machine has some problems. Trevin Valderrama running around by himself. And looks like the 2 machine went to the apron under green flag conditions by himself and actually split it into the outside retaining wall. A self-spin at Talladega, the 2 of Trevin Valderrama, and then had to frantically get around a couple of lead lappers, the 13 rather, Martin Backer, and the 004 Michael Johnson, then to take evasive action, but a little bit of lack in concentration, a lapse in decision making for the number 2, because Valderrama's going to be sitting with damage. He is down pit road. One truck sideways in his stall on pit road. And that looks like the 64 machine is down and out for service. That is Cecil Reen. Valderrama slow getting up to speed. Looks like that truck may be in a wrong gear. He would be racing Reen and John Ward. That would be for the first truck 1 lap down spot. However, John Ward is out of it. So Cecil Reen and Trevin Valderrama, who both left the pits nearly together. Valderrama didn't quite get up to speed in time, so Edward Smith, Jeremy Crandall there. So can't really get an accurate update on what the battle for the last spot off, or rather the first spot off the lead lap is, as scoring is still cycling through at the moment right now. But Kevin Schofield being scored in the number 1 position. Again, he has yet to come down for service. We're hearing that we're going to be seeing the secondary pack, and looks like all the leaders going to come down pit road. We're 3 wide once again onto the pits as the 74 of Doug Moore, very conservative on entry. He'll lose spots. The 57 and the 88 make it to pit road before him. The 96 of Smith, the 53 of Matt Clifton also down. So top 6 drivers on the racetrack have been down and now back out for service. George Bark is back out there. He is working with the 73 of Crandall. Now Crandall is a lead lap truck. George Bark and him very fast when they work together. Bark is down 2 laps, but they are still trying to cycle through and could put on a move here for the lead. The leaders now leaving pit road as those trucks still in 3 and 4. So significantly off pace down pit road. Will that be the final time that we'll see pit stops as this race begins to wind down? It'll be 25 to go next time by the start-finish line. Going to once again take a breather here, step away from the microphone, but we'll be back momentarily. You're watching the Dig Ahead 200 on the Pros Racing Network. Green flag conditions still out here at Talladega Super Speedway. You're watching PRN, the Pros Racing Network. My name is Evan Pizzoco, live from the Talladega Super Speedway. But at DEGAHEAD 200, we close in and have passed the last time by the start-finish line. This time by, it will be 24 laps to go. And through the tri-oval. Going to be coming up on 23 to go as race leader Michael Cozy Jr. on the outside once again, actually on the inside this time. Remember, our leaders were single file. They got the gap that they wanted. They have determined that it's time to go at this point. So Schofield had the advantage at the stripe. Him and Moore, who have been typically riding on the inside lane all race long and have been able to defend it rather well, have now been swapped out. They're going to be on the outside. Let's see how these work opposite of each other now, because Preet and Cozy are going to now have the inside position going into 3 and 4 here, and it's a 4-truck race. However, they're side by side. Can Rodney Smith and Matt Clifton close back up? Remember, these guys were with them before the green flag stop cycled through, and because of that, and again, tonight's race, 77 laps in distance. My apologies on reading that incorrectly. Something that pros does is lap 77, and completely forgot about this in this series because it is a week on, week off thing, so did not double check. So my apologies to that, but it is a 77 lap race. So once the guys take lap number 77, we are on the white flag. And with doing that, anybody familiar with iRacing knows that there is no green-white checkers. So the pros officials have added an additional 10 laps so that they can actually get in up to 3 green-white checkers if necessary. So much like the typical NASCAR stock car racing rules, once you take lap number 77, which is the white flag, a caution will end the race. If we see a caution before that, we will go into overtime. And it doesn't matter what lap we finish on, as long as we could get 2 green flag laps in, which would be a green-white checker, the race would end at that point. So, completely different scenario now that we have confirmed that. Race leaders put Trevin Valderrama down, but it's going to be a 3rd lap. Again, Valderrama was doing a solid job there. Trevin, he was top 15 and just had an issue trying to get down to pit road. A little bit of miscommunication, went down pit road, nobody else went with him, locked it up, slid through the grass, and has since literally been left out. There's been nobody around him that he could really hook up onto and try to get some assistance from. So he's gone from being the first truck 1 lap down to being 3 out of it, and pretty much out of contention for a lead lap finish, unless of course we see a lot of cautions here, which is not uncommon for the Talladega Superspeedway. But last time by, it was 10 laps to go for Mr. Kevin Schofield up in the number 1 position. Our Goodyear Superior Performer has led the majority, maybe 5 of the laps he has not led. After starting on pole position, has just shown a dominant car. Jay Anderson was the machine that he put down the fastest lap in orbit, with Anderson retiring long ago. Walks away with a 24th place result. So tough break for them, but again, Doug Moore, Kevin Schofield running a masterful race. We saw that they've been using the inside. Cozy and Preet were able to get the inside, which has been so strong all night long, and still the 51 and the 74 were able to make that work up on the outside lane, get back clear through and in front, and they were able to once again retain that number 1 spot. So to this extent, it's going to be a 4-truck race. Schofield, Moore, Cozy, or Preet are going to be set to battle it out. But once again, this is Talladega. 4 seconds back, Rodney Smith and Matt Clifton. Expect them to finish about 7 or 8 seconds behind it. That is, if our leaders don't wreck. The interesting thing to see how that would cycle through is, because that we are not actually ending on the white flag in the sim, if we were on the white flag in the sim, no caution flag would fly. So if there would be no caution flag to fly, then those guys would be able to come from 7 seconds back and maybe cross the stripe before them and able to walk away and steal the victory. Because the caution flag would fly, one of those trucks that may not spin around in the incident up front may be scored the leader, and if the caution does come out on our last lap at lap number 77, they may be able to be the winner. But if all 4 of them pile them in total, their race trucks, who knows? Rodney Smith and Matt Clifton may be able to steal it and walk away in victory lane. So we'd have to see how that works out. But right now, again, Smith and Clifton showing no signs that they're able to catch the leaders. The leaders are just too strong. Rodney Smith and Matt Clifton discussing over the radio that Clifton's a little hot. 53 wants to get some air to it. MCR Motorsport Chevrolet with Matt Clifton rides around in position number 6. So you got to get set up. How do you want to play this out? Do you want to be in the lead at the white flag? Do you even want to be the lead set of 2 trucks? Because at a corner number 4 on the final lap, you're gonna have to think that Doug Moore is gonna want $30 instead of 20. So you would have to anticipate that the 74 is gonna step out of line behind Schofield. If Cozy and Preet can stay hooked up, they could come flying through there at a last-second ditched effort, which makes Talladega so much more competitive finish-wise, because that start-finish line is past the middle of the tri-oval. It is halfway down, a little bit down, that little bit of a short shoot down into turn number 1. So because of that, you can get that little bit extra run. You have a little bit more time to make your move. You're able to step at a line, even if it's not later, even if you just don't step at a line in time as you were hoping to do so. You're able to stay on that right side, and side draft is going to be so important coming down to the end. But because of that, it is a simulator. There is net code, prediction code, a little bit of a bubble. The area that iRacing detects your car to be at could be a little bit off. Now, we've seen times where you can go door to door, no issue. We've seen other times where you get within about a couple inches, and that prediction code is going to cause those issues for you. And obviously, because of that, you're going to end up in the fence. So these finishes, these side-by-side battles at these restrictor plate racetracks are always up in the air when it comes down to these final handful of laps. And really closing in on this one, drivers going through following procedures, finishing procedures with race officials on how to work these final few laps. So the general feel, and George Mark now race control confirming that 77 is going to be the white flag, and then after that you will just stop, don't cross another scoring loop, and escape out. That way the finishing results will remain correct per a 77 lap race. This time by Kevin Schofield once again in control, takes lap number 74. That is 4 laps to go in this one. So we've been talking about different scenarios that we can see here. Again, we are still not out of the water on if there could be a possible caution flag here late in the race. That would obviously set us up for the additional 10 laps that Pros has added to be able to do manual green-white checkers, where the sim would obviously treat it as a normal restart, but obviously with the additional laps, we would get another 10 laps maximum to try to get in as many green-white checkers. That would be able to take us to a clean finish of the race. And caution flag flies once again on the last lap. The race is done, and the field will be frozen, as opposed to if it ended on the white flag and iRacing standards, where it would be man for himself, and kind of a crapshoot there to limp back to the finish line, because there would be no cautions on the last lap if we were doing it per the sim. So 3 to go. Do you want to be first, second, third, or fourth? Do you want to be the lead draft? Do you want to be the second tandem? We will find out, as Schofield Moore have shown no signs of slowing down. Can Cozy and Preet even catch them to put up a battle for that spot? That's another question that you're going to have to think of, because they're slowly slipping away. Now they close back in a little bit as the 74 went high, and the 51 of Schofield was a little bit lower down there through the corner. So we're going to have to see how this one's going to shake out, but we are side by side at the start-finish line. That would have been a great photo finish. 2 laps to go. Spencer Preet and Michael Cozy Jr. have decided it's time to rock and roll. Advantage to the 88, that time by the start-finish line. You see they ride now lower than they have all race long. get down and start cheating on those white hash marks. Then in turn, the 51 to Schofield, the 74 or more, they ride a little bit higher, trying to force that outside draft up the hill and force them to take a longer line around the racetrack to try to kill their momentum. They remain door-to-door, now to 3 and 4, the second to last time. Kevin Schofield on the bottom with help from Doug Moore. They're now through. They're clear of the 88. The 74 is not quite, but Schofield has a truck length. The 88 machine now back with a nose. He led it last time by. It is going to be Kevin Schofield by the start-finish line. 1 lap to go into 1. At a corner number 2 for the final time, and down the back straightaway. Advantage remains to the inside lane of Kevin Schofield. Now down the back, Michael Cosi Jr. with help from the 57 Spencer Preet pull even and just a nose over the inside lane in 3 and 4. They're both squeezing down to inside the white hash marks. It's door-to-door at a corner number 4 contact. They're bouncing off each other. The guys that are pushing have no room to step out of line. It's going to be a drag race down to the finish. It's Schofield at the moment. More contact. Who's going to get it at the start-finish line to the apron? Kevin Schofield wins it by 17 one-thousandths of a second. Michael Cosi Jr. walks home second. Doug Moore third. Spencer Preet fourth. And the battle for the final payout position is going to end with the 53 of Clifton in the grass. The 96 of Rodney Smith will walk home in the number 5 spot. Matt Clifton spins into the inside wall. He does not cross. He will now back across the start-finish line. He'll walk home 8th place. And that is going to end the race as Kevin Schofield with a move to the apron at the stripe, and race officials have not said anything yet on if that is a official finish. Obviously, the rule being on the yellow line that you cannot pass below it. But I feel like it would have been very close if the 51 did not dive down to pit road. But in the end, he's able to get it at the stripe in a very crazy, very highly contested finish. So we will make an attempt to talk to some of our top finishers here. So gonna take a look. Obviously, Doug Moore finishing in 3rd. Michael Cosi Jr. walking home in 2nd. We will get him queued up on the microphone in a moment. And then Kevin Schofield going to victory lane. He is here in the chat as well. So first, going to take a moment. We're going to talk to our 2nd place finisher, Michael Cosi Jr. at the 88 is going to come home 1/100 short. Walk us through that final lap there, Cosi.
Man, I don't know. We were trying to back up so we could get a little bit of a run, and it was looking pretty good coming through the travel. I know Spencer had a little bit of contact with the guy pushing a 51, and that kind of stalled us a little bit, and then had a little bit of contact with 51. That stalled me just enough to I didn't get to the line there, but it was a hell of an effort by Spencer. I appreciate him pushing me, and we almost got it, but it was still fun.
You guys made it nearly a 4-truck race. You guys were on the outside, the other tandem between the 74 and the 51, they were on the inside. Then you guys flip-flop. You guys led a couple laps out of a green flag pit stop, and in the end, the 51 and the 74 were able to get back to the inside. Do you think that inside might have made the difference there?
It might have. I mean, I was trying to side draft it as much as I could. That way I could get the inside lane, and I don't know. They were so strong on the bottom, and they had a little bit more speed in this. But I don't know. It's just that we had a little bit of contact there at the end. I think we could have edged them out, but I don't know. It was close, but I don't know.
A lot of green flag racing. Obviously, 77 laps is no short one here at Talladega, but you were able to make it work. Obviously, you were working with Spencer there for the majority of the race. He's going to come home in 4th. Walk us through, the mentality that you have to take, how you got to execute those pit stops, and how important they were, especially in the green flag.
Yeah, you know what? It's really hard to do triple play racing and execute it perfectly. We didn't have too much of a problem getting on pit road. We were beating them guys out of pit road, into pit road and out of pit road. We both had really good pit stops and both got out of our boxes fast and got out in front of them. And then they caught back up to us with the draft. And it's just got to make clean passes and swaps, and then to put all that together, and it's just tough to do everything perfect and come out on top at a Daytona or Talladega. But there at the last couple of laps, we were just trying to save fuel and stay behind there, and then back up and try to get a run to the line. And we almost got there, but had a great time. And as I said, big thanks to Spencer for pushing me. He's a hell of a teammate.
You mentioned Spencer there. Before we let you go, anybody else you want to thank?
I thank the league for putting on the race, my first race with pros, and want to thank Travis Brown for getting me into it. A good buddy of mine pointed out go to pros, and had a lot of fun tonight. So of course, thank you for broadcasting. Thanks to everybody at pros.
And definitely, well, congrats on the top 2 finish. You guys made it a show there at the end, and we look forward to seeing what you and the E8 team can do here in the upcoming weeks.
Appreciate it.
That is Michael Cozy Jr. He walks home with a second place result, but it is going to be the driver of the 51. Fastest in practice, qualifies on pole, and ends up top. He leads all 3 categories and leads the most laps just had on top of it. Kevin Schofield to victory lane. A dominant performance, to say the least. Kevin, obviously you had a lot of help. You and Doug Moore working masterfully together under those green flag conditions to hang on to that lead. But walk us through those final laps there. Were you able to hold it off?
Yeah, well, it was definitely a heart pumper. I will say that for sure. Still pretty excited about it. But first of all, I have to give massive credit to Doug, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to do it. He was super fast. I had a really good truck under me for this race. So I know myself going in, I was well prepared. But Doug was an excellent driver. We never had to switch. Not one time that whole race. He was able to manage his temps the whole time in between pit stops. And luckily we had some good stops along the way. But as far as those last few laps, I knew as long as we could control the bottom and not let the lead car slide down in front of me and leave his partner out to dry, that it was either going to be me or him that was going to win the race if he decided to dive out at the end. If they weren't next to us coming to the checker, I think he probably would have made an attempt, and I wouldn't have blamed him for doing so. But all in all, it was a great race, and I give all the credit to him. I just drove the car, and without him, I wouldn't have got here.
Definitely takes 2 trucks to be successful at this racetrack. And again, you and that 74, masterfully done tonight. And you mentioned him to be able to stay in that pushing position for nearly the whole race there and not have to switch. What was really killing the other drivers was that switching. Solid job done for you two. What are your plans here for the future as far as running pros here on the Thursday night series?
I would love to, actually. Yeah, I've been with the pros guys for the last couple months now, and they're a solid group of guys. And George is a really good guy, runs a great league here, and I would love to take part in it. It just depends on if I'm busy. If I'm not, then for sure I will be here.
Before we let you step away, obviously you have some celebrating to do after walking away with the money at the end of the night, but any sponsors or shout-outs that you want to throw out there here on the broadcast?
Well, I want to give a couple shout-outs to some guys I used to run with. Vidane, a bunch of friends in there that I used to run with, the Vidane League. Max Speed TV, obviously, Rudy always does a good job when we use them, and I'm good friends with him. And Don Bowden, who does a wonderful job painting my race cars for all the special events I run and for regular use. Other than that, I just want to thank everybody that ran in tonight's race and did an excellent job. Only one caution, a couple other small wrecks besides that, but no cautions came out. So excellent job to everybody involved, and I can't wait to do it again.
And we look forward to seeing what you and the 51 crew can do if you're able to race again on Thursday nights. But once again, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
That is Kevin Schofield. He's going to walk away on top tonight, and that is going to do it from the Talladega Super Series, the Super Speedway, rather, the Beer Money Series, getting my words tied together here, continues in 1 week's time for the Topless 200, the Silver Crowns at Michigan. A very exciting car track combination. It is very fun. I highly suggest if you are interested in racing, pros-league.com. You can qualify in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday if you want to be able to be here for the race on September the 4th at Michigan. Tonight, when it's all said and done, Kevin Schofield going to go to victory lane. That's going to wrap it up. So on behalf of everybody here at the Pros Racing Network and at Pros, George Bark, League Director Brian Cross, obviously helping about get everything going here. My name is Evan Pasoko. Thank you for tuning in. And again, we will see you in 1 week's time at the Michigan International Speedway.